3 months ago, this was just an empty lot. Today, it's a fully finished, cozy home, and you won't believe how fast it all came together. When I first visited this site 3 months ago, I saw a family who was just breaking ground. But even though we had a very basic foundation, one thing was clear: this family wasn't going to wait another year to move in. So today, let's check out how they made it happen. For many Filipinos, building a house is still the biggest financial investment they'll ever make. And it's normal to want it to be perfect. Many Filipinos delay their home construction for years because they think the process will take forever. The fear of long timelines, unexpected delays, and budget blowouts keeps them from starting at all. And in the meantime, they keep paying rent or living with relatives. But this couple didn't have the luxury of time. After getting married, they decided to start a family. But because of the pandemic, they couldn't move in with her parents like most Filipino couples do. Plus, he had to work in another city, so commuting wasn't an option. So they bought a piece of land a few minutes away from his office. It was far enough for some peace and quiet, but close enough for weekend visits. That's why they needed to build a house in less than 3 months. They locked in their design, found a reliable foreman, and broke ground with a clear schedule. They used ready-mix concrete instead of modular tiles for faster curing. They used pre-painted roofing to skip painting time and modular kitchen cabinets that were built off-site. They also used these methods to cut weeks off their build time. The lot was small, only 84 square meters, so they maximized every inch with an open-plan living, kitchen, and dining area. Multi-purpose furniture like this TV console that doubles as a kitchen counter and storage, big windows to allow natural light to penetrate the interior, and beautiful glass partitions to separate spaces without making them feel too cramped. I asked them if they sacrifice quality for speed, and the answer was a big fat no. In fact, I was impressed with the quality of finish. They hired skilled workers and professionals who knew what they were doing. The electrical and plumbing works were done by licensed electricians and plumbers. The walls were perfectly plastered and the paint job was flawless. Plus, they made sure to get the necessary permits and certifications to ensure the structural integrity of the building. The result? A livable, beautiful, and safe home in just 90 days. Now, before we move inside, let's take a quick look at where they started. This is the entrance to their property, a small concrete fence to keep their dogs from wandering into the street. Then a pedestrian gate made of hollow blocks, which I'm sure they'll eventually replace with something fancier. Once inside, we have the driveway made of gravel and laterite, which will eventually be replaced with concrete. They didn't have a garage, so they parked their cars along the side of the house. This is the view from their front porch, which has a roof made of pre-painted roofing. These materials are cheaper and faster to install than traditional roofing, which involves buying plain roofing, delivering it to the site, cutting it one by one to the right length, nailing it to the trusses, and then painting it. By the way, the paint job turned out great. I love how the color white brightens up the whole facade. Now let's go inside. This is the view as soon as you enter the house. Straight ahead is the dining and living room. To the left is the kitchen, which I'll show you in a bit. And to the right is the guest toilet. By the way, the owner designed this toilet to look like a powder room. Look at those hexagonal tiles. Now this is the dining and living room. I love how the huge windows make the space feel airy and bright. Look at this TV console. It's a multi-purpose piece of furniture. It has a TV console at the top, a kitchen counter at the bottom, and a drawer for storage in the middle. They also use this narrow console to separate the dining and living areas. By the way, this is a 3D render of the original design, and this is the actual space. Notice how they were able to maximize every inch. Next to it is the kitchen. If you're wondering where the sink is, it's actually beside the window. Look at how well this space was planned out. Then we have this counter with a stove and a hood. And finally, this countertop with a built-in oven and microwave. I like how they were able to fit in all of these appliances in such a small space. I also like how they used glass partitions to separate the kitchen from the rest of the house. This way, they can still interact with their guests while cooking. Across from the kitchen is the guest toilet. Again, this is what the design looked like in the 3D render, and this is how it turned out. Very similar, right? By the way, the hexagon tiles really gave this place a high-end look. Now let's head to the bedrooms. This is the master's bedroom. Look at those big windows. I bet waking up in this room feels amazing. Then we have this built-in closet with a mirror. This is the view from the bed. Straight ahead is the door to the walk-in closet. On the right is the built-in vanity with a sink and a faucet. And on the left is the toilet with a bidet. Finally, here is the shower area with a glass enclosure and a pebble tile on the floor. Now this is the second bedroom. The owners built this house for their parents, so they wanted it to be extra spacious. That's why they added a second bedroom. Plus, their kids can stay here whenever they visit. Finally, let's take a look outside. At the back of the house is this small concrete patio. It doesn't look like much now, but I'm sure they'll plant some trees and maybe add some outdoor furniture in the future. So there you have it, a cozy, modern, and stylish house that was built in just 3 months. In our next video, I'll show you the exact construction schedule they followed to finish a livable home in just 3 months. I'll also share some tips on how you can copy it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please hit the thumbs up button if you liked it. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you.